I walked 20,000 steps every single day for the last 7 days. While doing so, I managed to capture a little glimpse into what those days were like for me, mentally and physically. So without further ado, here are the lessons and the results from walking this many steps in such a short period of time. You may already know that I work a sedentary job, 9 to 5, like a normal person. This YouTube channel is just a hobby of mine. However, in the last 7 days, I've tried to break away from the traditional 9 to 5 worker mentality where I sit in a chair every single day in an attempt to walk 20,000 steps every single day. You may have heard of walking 10,000 steps every single day as a daily recommendation. However, I started thinking about what it would be like if I doubled that amount as somebody that works a 9 to 5. So on day 1, I optimistically set forth on this journey. It marks day number 1 of the 20,000 step challenge. Let's go ahead and do a physique update. All in all, not too bad. I feel like I look pretty good at this point because, I got a little bit of a pump in this morning and I've already got about 3,000 steps in, but it's only 7 a.m., so I've got a long way to go and I've got about 17,000 steps, so we'll go ahead and do a check-in later. Alright, so I was going to go on a walk today after work. It's about 4:30 p.m. and I was going to go outside because it was such a beautiful day out. And of course, working a sedentary job behind a desk, I'm way behind on steps. I've only got about 5,200 so far. And as soon as I got out of the office and about 2 minutes away from the park, it started raining. So I don't know if I'm gonna hold this out or if I'm gonna have to find another way to get steps, but we will make it to 20,000. Even if I have to walk around my condo for 3 hours to finish up my steps, we will make it to 20,000. So stay tuned and figure out how I overcome this very minute obstacle. Okay, so update on the rain. It's supposed to be rain and thunderstorm advisory until 9 p.m. It's not raining where I live at necessarily, so we're gonna make a little bit of an adjustment. I'm gonna be walking around the condo, probably driving Hannah nuts for a little bit, at least until dinner's done, and then I'll go ahead and head to the gym where I can finish up my steps and hit 20,000. So that's gonna be the plan moving forward. All right. Day number 1 is in the books. I got 20,007 steps. So I'm gonna go ahead and treat myself to some rice cakes and peanut butter. I should mention, while I'm doing this process, I'm not increasing my calories. I know I run the risk of, maybe being a little bit weaker, but I wanna see how my body changes. So we're gonna keep calories consistent, and I'll check in tomorrow at day number 2 for my 20,000 steps. All right, day number 2 of walking 20,000 steps. I'm at the park that I was at yesterday, so it's looking like a clear enough day. It's not supposed to rain, so we're gonna go ahead and get a couple miles in. So far, I'm about 6,000 steps in, so let's get to it. So far, I will say this walk has been great. Super quiet around this area. Definitely a good path. Day number 2 is in the books. I got about 20,012 steps so far. I gotta say, if I'm gonna make it this entire time, I've gotta, start really buckling down on when I'm getting my steps. I feel like I'm walking way too much in my own apartment. I need to figure it out, but stay tuned to see if I ever learn a lesson. By about day 3, day 4, I was definitely starting to feel it mentally. Even though it's not the most difficult thing to walk a ton of steps, one thing that I noticed is time management was key. I was really having a hard time getting my hours in a row and my steps in an appropriate amount of time, which resulted in me walking around in the apartment, as you can see. All right, day number 3, once again walking after work, down at the same dirt path / park path that I had before. And yeah, so far it's going well. Got about 10,000 steps in. 8 of those came from just the work day. So stay tuned and I'll let you know how it goes today. All right, 20,012 steps are in the books. I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. End of day 3, I gotta say my body's really starting to feel it now. I think it's just the repetitive motion, but I am finishing up earlier. Still think I need to distribute my steps a little bit better. But, we'll get there eventually. I think it's just going to take time and figuring out how many steps I should be taking and how often I should be walking. So with that said, I'll see you at day number 4. Day number 4, that's a wrap. hit my 20,000 step minimum. So definitely starting to feel it, getting a little bit of brain fog. This is my second take. I just said day number 3. So that's where we're at right now. I was definitely tired this morning. Decided that I wasn't going to be lifting today because I have been lifting throughout all of this. I was going to take a rest day in the middle of the week. So the other 3 days I'll be lifting, but I think it'll be more manageable because I won't be at work, so I won't be sitting down as much, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to chill, relax for a little bit, and then, go to bed, but I'll see you all at day number 5. Fortunately, by about day 5 and day 6, the weekend came around and I was able to get my steps in much more efficiently. All right, day number 5 has come to an end officially. Got my 20,000 steps in. This did happen a little later, but one thing that I did realize today was yesterday was kind of a rough day, like between work and everything, just kind of, I think it was like overstimulated or I don't know, just at capacity, right? Today I felt like I was in a better headspace and I felt like getting the steps in was a lot easier than it was previously. So I just wanted to make a note of that. Today's day 5, tomorrow's day 6. Still on an adventure, still going strong, so I'll see you all tomorrow. Part of getting the steps in included me going to the gym outside of my regularly scheduled workout routine to get in enough steps for the entire day. However, there was some learning lessons. As you'll see in some of these days, I walked 9.5 to 9.7 miles, and then in other days, it was around 10 miles. The reason for that was typically because on the days that I was walking on the treadmill, I accounted for more mileage despite it being relatively similar from a steps perspective. By day 6, it was the weekend and I was finally free to walk around. One thing that I definitely realized was that on the weekends, I'm much more open and much more available to go on little walks, and I'm more inclined to just because it's nice and I want to enjoy my time off. So it was definitely a nice getaway compared to the weekdays where I'm typically crammed in a desk and not able to break away from that desk for regularly scheduled walks. All right, it's the end of day number 6. I'm gonna say that it being the weekend and not having to go to work made this walking 20,000 step challenge way easier because I was just able to move all day and I was kind of being able to like move naturally, so I didn't have to make up as many steps at the end of the day today. So I'm definitely feeling way better today than I did the first 5 days. I think the mental aspect of all of it has been pretty simple, unless like I'm having a really bad day. For the most part, it feels like it's pretty simple, but it's a lot of time, and for that, I'm starting to realize that like this is not the most practical thing to do day in and day out, but to each their own. I mean, if you have an active job where you're up and out and about, this might be the way to go. So I'll see you all tomorrow for my final and last day of getting 20,000 steps. Wish me luck. Day number 7 in the books, I got 20,000 steps in, and I gotta say that I'm excited to see this challenge come to an end. If I'm being honest, this has taken way more time than I expected it to, and I mean, overall, I don't feel like I lost a ton of weight, but we'll see what the scale says tomorrow morning. So stay tuned for the final results on the weigh-ins. The lessons that I learned from doing this was that this takes a lot of time, and 20,000 steps is a lot. But more importantly, that 10,000 steps isn't as out of reach as I initially had thought. Being somebody that works behind a desk, I don't think that I get enough steps in typically, so I tend to stand at my desk since I do have a standing desk at work. This allows for me to have some type of movement and allows me to use that NEAT. For those of you that don't remember from some of my previous videos, I've discussed this NEAT acronym, and that's going to be non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Essentially, how much do you move around? Are you shaking your leg? Are you standing up at a desk? When you are standing at that desk, are you swaying back and forth, or are you standing stiff as a board? And so what I realized is for me to get 10,000 steps, which is again the daily recommended amount, it really takes me a 15-minute walk after a lift and about 1 walk typically after dinner when I have the most time. However, 10,000 steps, in my opinion, is even a little bit overrated. These numbers are typically arbitrary and don't really account for everyone's day-to-day lifestyle. In my opinion, getting somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 steps and standing at my desk for a couple of hours out of the 8-hour window in a day is more than sufficient. However, I do enjoy the process of walking and being outside. It was nice to get outside and get some sun in my eyes, and it felt right just kind of, taking that time to myself to walk around and really get in my head and work ideas out. And I think one thing that I definitely took away as a positive from all of this is that I was able to walk and realized that it was a great way for me to be inspired, to create better content, and to also think things through, on a work perspective, or even just my next workout program. So from that perspective, there's definitely a lot of benefits from walking. The other benefit of walking, especially whenever you're outside, is getting to consume vitamin D, which, means that I get to take a little less supplements in the morning. And of course, that'll mean that my wallet will thank me. As far as before and afters go, I'll put both of these on the screen right now. In my opinion, looking at these, there wasn't a huge difference in the before and after. However, with that said, I did weigh myself on the first day and the day after day 7. That way I could be the most accurate possible measurement as far as what my weight was before and what my weight was after. This accounted for the full 7 days of 20,000 steps, before the 20,000 and after the 20,000. And what I found was a little startling. My initial weight was 167.1 pounds. Admittedly, there was some water weight being held here due to the fact that that weekend I was going on a hike, and because we were going on an intense hike, 14er at that. For those of you that don't know, 14er is 14,000 feet above elevation. So it takes a lot of energy to climb these mountains because your heart rate's gonna be a lot higher and you're walking roughly 10 miles. As a result, I wasn't taking care of my diet like I should have been, and I was kind of consuming freely, knowing that this challenge was coming up. So take 167 pounds with a grain of salt, but with that said, I doubt very seriously I gained a ton of weight. That was 1 day of sliding back and 2 days after backsliding on my diet. However, I ended up losing 4.4 pounds in 1 week, and my final weigh-in was 162 pounds. So without a doubt, the increased steps resulted in an increased calorie deficit, allowing me to lose more weight. And I'll say that I didn't really feel any different in the gym. However, I don't recommend doing this as a source for fat loss. And the reason why I say that is because I don't think it's as sustainable for the average person to walk 20,000 steps every single day. Instead, create a goal. Maybe it's not even 10,000, maybe it's 6,000, or maybe it's 8,000, or maybe it's 4,000 to 6,000, but you want to stand at your desk for X number of hours out of the workday. Whatever it may be, I think that's more efficient than walking 20,000 steps to try and lose weight. Now, of course, I'm not saying that this is necessarily a bad thing. I just don't feel like it's as sustainable as regular exercise like weightlifting that's going to allow you to slowly take the weight off and, not bounce up and down on the scale because of things like water weight loss. Implementing strength training and upping your cardio to about 120 minutes a week will typically provide the results that you're looking for and allow you to lose weight slowly while still retaining your muscle mass. And for those of you that are new to the channel and think that this is just going to be a bodybuilding centric channel, that's not necessarily the case. While it is important to consume protein, stay in a calorie deficit whenever you're losing weight, or even stay in a calorie surplus when you're gaining weight, and of course strength training, it's also important to remember that there's a lot of benefits to maintaining muscle mass on your frame. Benefits to increase muscle mass are always going to lie in different health benefits, such as lowering the risk of things like osteoporosis. So at the end of the day, I don't know that 20,000 steps is the best for the average person, but if you can't get in that many steps, then that's great. But if not, don't sweat it. You can always find different ways to get active, like hiking or whatever that may be. Just make sure that you're doing cardio that you enjoy. So all in all, in my opinion, I feel like this was a little bit of an overrated challenge, but I will say that I'm happy to have done it and to have completed it. That's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed today's content, please be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And of course, before I go, I have to make sure that I thank everybody that's been watching these videos and subscribing. I hope you all know that it means the world to me. I really do appreciate the fact that you all are taking time out of your day to watch this content, and hopefully it's providing value to you. So with that said, I'll see you all in the next video.